Good evening. Welcome. Yes. You have found the place that has been hidden to all behind the wall and veil called Aletheia Radio's
Off the Books.
I am your host. Forget my name. It's not about me.
It's not about us.
It's about Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
Welcome, people.
Welcome. So today's topic of conversation, get ready to dazzle your mental taste buds with visions, goals, and manifesting your procrastination. What does that mean?
Which I do a lot. Because we try to put our visions and goals, but I just tend to procrastinate.
Yeah, if the doctor says I have a enlarged procrastination.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I'm so not ready for the current events.
Yeah.
It's been exhausting in some ways. I mean, not too exhausting. I mean, I really don't care to some extent. I think I just care more about, not that I care more about, but it bothers me how people react. But anyway, that's right. Tonight on Aletheia Radio's Current Events, get to hear all the goods on everything that's happening in the world, in your neighborhood, and probably in your private life that you think we don't know about.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Ted Koppel.
Yeah.
And I'm Connie Chan.
And I'm Bruce Bruises.
And I'm Bruce.
Because I've been beat up.
Because I've just been beat up. So after a long week of anticipation, the elections are over.
I'm actually happy about it.
Yeah, I'm so glad it's over. People are like, this person won, this person lost. I'm like, I'm just glad it's over.
Yeah. And you know what? God is still on the throne.
He's still on the throne.
Jesus is still king.
That's it. I don't care if everybody I won. I mean,
Who's won?
Everybody I won. Everybody.
Who's won?
Who's won? That's my cousin.
Won is my cousin.
I mean, I don't care if everybody who I voted for won or not. Like, that's not going to stop me from living every day.
No.
Like
you're not an election denier.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not an election denier. I'm not even a denier.
No.
But anyway. So the New York race is close enough where I believe they called it. Yeah. So
Hochul.
Kathy Hochul. Lee Zeldin came in close though.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
He did. It's just if you can't pull off New York City and the five boroughs area, it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, he did well.
He did very well.
But it's just tough in New York. If you can't, it's the same like California. If you can't pull off,
he's our local guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's Long Island.
Around the block.
He's a Long Islander.
You're Long Island. See, now you're going that's how my family in Brooklyn used to call us,
Long Islanders?
Yeah, really thick accent, really thick PR accent. I got from Long Island.
Long Island.
Like the G starts the word island. You know what I'm saying? So the elections, John Fetterman won.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's hard for me to imagine that somebody with medical issues and that can pull off such a win that he did. Like he won. I mean,
I wouldn't have thrown Dr. Oz.
No, because Dr. Oz is, he can't relate he can't relate. This guy Fetterman shows up in hooded sweatshirts and shorts and it's freezing cold out. And he's still wearing shorts with it, he got a little goatee and his tattoos, he's a Pennsylvania guy,
but that's what's crazy. It's here's my thing. Don't vote for somebody because you don't like the opposition. You know what I mean? Take the time to really find be realistic.
I think that's the problem with Oz is he hasn't been in this atmosphere before. So
wasn't he on the Oprah Winfrey show?
Yeah, so and he didn't even get endorsed by Oprah, but people don't really rely on someone that he's a heart surgeon, he's a TV, personality, but at the same time he hasn't been in the political atmosphere, so I don't think that it was a good choice to put him against Fetterman.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think anybody else would have been, Georgia's going into the the long term.
Yeah, and I like that because you know what's interesting is I think it was Kemp, right? Kemp pulled off the governor over there. If I'm not correct. But he usually what you see is the governor pull along that senator, but you didn't see that because people are still undecided that Herschel Walker can actually do something. So if they had a little more confidence, Herschel Walker would have walked away with that, But now it's on a runoff. So
he said Herschel Walker would have walked away with you.
Run. He would have run. Walker would have walked away.
Runner would have ran away with that.
No, he would have ran over the dude just like his running back days. You know what I mean?
I remember watching Herschel Walker fight in the UFC at 48.
Yeah,
and just destroy his younger opponents. And every time they got knocked out, and he was real good. The younger guy was just like, "Yo, he's so strong."
Yeah. I'm going to try to pull up. He said something was really good. Just the way he sounds is really good.
It's funny. I would hate to be his opponent and have somebody on the opposite side say it to his face. You know what I mean? I don't think you want to say anything to Herschel Walker's face. He's such a nice guy.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's super nice. That's what I'm saying. He is a nice guy. Let me see. Here he is. Here he is.
Go ahead.
Let's see if I got this here.
I don't come to lose. And I told you he's going to be tough to beat. He's going to be tough to beat, but let me tell you what. He got the wrong Georgia here, don't he?
He got the wrong Georgia here, though. I love him, though.
Hang in there a little bit longer. Just hang in there a little bit longer. Because something good, it takes a while for it to get better.
Wow.
And it's going to get better. So I wanted to thank you guys for hanging in. And if some of you have to go home, you can wake up tomorrow morning and see that the new senator for the great state of Georgia, Herschel Walker.
Yeah, that didn't happen, but he's so close.
But he's so
close. It actually is a runoff, which is really good. It's really good for him.
It is good. It is.
I like
All right,
Herschel.
so some of the Arizona.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
again?
You're not going to know till December. You're not going to know till December.
You will not know the actual results
until December 6th.
Until December 6th, 2052.
What's going on?
For more information, consult Doc Brown, Time Machine.
What's interesting? It's you can go to CityMD.
Yeah.
Take out your license. It scans it and it brings up all your information.
Yeah.
Everything. Why can't we're so technological that we go now, we still fill out paper. We scan it in those old tests we used to take in school with the Scantron test, right? You're still doing that when we could just, if you have your license.
Yeah, but I think the problem is that digital is so much easier
to hack.
But
we have companies that can protect that. Your bank system, you know what I mean?
We trust our bank.
We trust our, trust bank, but you're not going to trust your medical information.
You're buying stuff online.
Yeah, come on.
We must evolve.
That's what I'm saying. You could scan it in, and then it's easy, and then you just do it.
So easy. Anyone could do it.
Anyone.
Yeah, so the elections, oh my goodness.
It's getting close. It's such a close race. It actually shows what this country is still equally divided. People say, "Oh, it's a divided country." It's okay to have. It's good to have a country that has different views and can be pretty much split down the middle. There's checks and balances. Yeah, I mean, it's important.
Why do you think? It's a deep conversation. We're not going to roll into all night. But a quick answer. Why do you think people are divided? We were talking about this before the show, and we're talking. You said something really interesting, the polarization of the country has a lot to do with people's perspective on God.
Yeah, definitely.
And what exactly did you say about that?
What did I say about that? I don't remember.
Man,
I don't know, man. That was the spirit talking.
5 minutes ago.
I don't remember what I was saying.
What you said was what you said that was interesting was that you were just people don't even consider God in their conversations. They don't consider a standard of morality in their conversations, in their thoughts, in their homes.
Yeah, and actually you could see that in the votes, just because of the things that we stand for. But it's hard. It feels lonely a little bit.
Yeah, that's one of the things you said too. It's like there's these never-ending circular arguments because people aren't coming to terms with what a conversation actually is. Like you're supposed to get something out of that.
Yeah.
And I don't think people get anything out of conversations these days. Well, I wouldn't say. I take that back. I think that that we take what we choose out of conversations these days instead of saying, well, this person may have a point.
Yeah, or see if they might have a point. I think it kind of goes what we're talking about tonight. I had my vision of what the day after the election was going to look like, but it's not that. But it's okay, and it's good because usually that's what we do with God. We have this idea of what we should do and that vision and goal of what we should do, but sometimes God doesn't it's not the same will. It's our will, but it's not God's will, and then we got to trust that. And I was talking to my wife about this. I was like, we might not see it now, but 5-10 years from now we might see it, what the actual purpose was it for,
Well, people have waited longer to see what God's done.
Oh, so, yeah.
Well,
40 years in the desert.
160-something years building a boat.
Right.
How long did Noah build the boat for? Like, what was it? Like 120-something years?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know exactly, but it was a long time.
For more than 5
years. And he was old doing it.
Yeah. He's like, oh, God, let it rain. My back's killing me.
I don't think he had.
And he didn't have help.
There was enough oxygen on the earth that he wouldn't have pain yet.
Oh man,
his forehead was pretty big, but he didn't have no pain.
Well, was that Russell Crowe's forehead?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was the worst.
Oh, goodness.
Like that was almost sinful to watch.
It was because he was like, we got to do movie reviews.
Yeah, but that was like,
yeah, like it's funny because he's like he turned into Maximus Decimus.
Yeah,
He was like, I am Noah. I'm the builder of the ark.
Yeah, but then you had like some creatures, and like it was weird. It was really strange. It was like a different planet.
They're coming on the boat. He's like, quickly come. What is that? what is that walking up? It's like a cockroach.
Oh my goodness!
And a puppy in one. Like what is it? I mean, like I don't know what the animals were like that day, but yeah. So yeah, Noah. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Other areas like how DeSantis. Oh man, that was a landslide. That
Yeah.
wasn't even like a landslide. That was like if a landslide got coupled with a
when
tsunami.
everybody was talking about a red wave. The red wave started in Florida and it stopped there.
It stopped at the borders of Georgia.
It was like
it's like here comes the wave. Oh, it must only be for them. It's just Kool-Aid. Don't worry about it.
Oh my goodness!
Wow. Yeah. There was a big anticipation for that.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, but hey, 2 years from now, who knows? It looks like DeSantis is starting a blueprint for the presidency. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to get into that conversation.
I know. Yeah. Politics is politics.
Yeah. Politics is politics.
Politics is politics.
So,
Jesus is still king.
Yeah.
Regardless.
I am always into doing a podcast, but that does not mean I'm always mentally prepared.
Right. Yeah. I don't think we're ever totally mentally prepared.
No, I don't think so either. I think
honestly, if we're going to be honest, we're never prepared.
We were actually just doing music
right
up until like 10 minutes before
yeah.
We knew what we were going to talk about. We had all that stuff
set. I forgot because I was like, what are we talking about again?
So it's like, yeah, check this beat out. It's like, and I'm like, oh.
And then he wrote something to he's like writing stuff to it. And then before you know it, it's like.
And they were like, oh, double up the snare there. And it's like, oh, wait, the timing's off. And then it's like, next thing you know, it's like, oh, wait, we got to go on the air in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
That's how you know the Holy Spirit is leading us because we are never prepared. But so this is another banger from Aletheia Radio. We do this every time.
Yeah, every time. But so tonight we're going to be talking about visions and
manifestation.
And we don't mean visions like we're having a vision. It's like what like if you're in a church or you're in a a job or if you own your own company. What's your vision for your business? What's your vision for your family?
Your life,
what's your vision for your, church? Like a church should have a vision.
I think we suffer from lack of vision as a people, especially when you get comfortable in America. I think that's where a lot of the problems are starting. This is not a podcast right now that we're trying to shift into like a success motivational seminar. That's not what we're doing. I think we're more concerned with what everyone's definition of success is. But when we're talking about visions, like what is your vision for your life? What do you feel the vision for your life in God's eyes is versus yours?
Yeah.
And when we use for terms, 'cause you ever see those life coaches on? Everybody's a life coach, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm
a life coach.
I know like 743 people that are life coaches now. Like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a life coach.
The smile too.
Oh, how's it going? I'm a life coach.
Yeah.
Do you have a whistle?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, listen, I mean, in some ways, like we could all be that. But I think what you find out now is like there's a lot of like self-help motivation mixing in with the church too. And it's like you can't forget where your help comes from. So what is your vision for your life? And do you stop to consider what God's vision may be? And this is a problem because I find out like what happens with me is like I feel like something is definitely from God, and then I find myself fighting to get to that point, and then I'm like, okay, that's not of God, like, and you spend time praying on it, and you always hear people talk about like, well, pray about it, and then you go home and you're like, God, I really want to do this. Thank you so much. Holla. And it's like that's not going to get answers. Like you have to wait for reveal sometimes.
Yeah. Actually, I think what we tend to do is kind of like what you said is that procrastination sets in because I see a vision as something you see long off in the distance. Hey, this is my ultimate destination, right? And then I see goals as those little ways to get to that ultimate destination. So you should have a vision and then have those goals like, okay, I've reached checkpoint A, I've reached checkpoint B, I'm getting there. But a lot of times in between, I don't know about you, but a lot of times I'll get, wanted to do something and all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, that's nice. What's that? And Squirrel. And I walk, wait a minute. Oh, I like doing this, and I think what we do is we tend to, God gives us gifts and talents that we can use and things like that. And I think sometimes we don't really spend the time honing in on those.
Yeah.
And we wind up, hey, whether it's, you're a movie buff and you just like watch movies all the time or doing stuff, like me, I'm a workaholic. I feel guilty if I'm sitting down not doing anything. So I got to work in the house or do something. I can't. Like I'm not into the video games because if I sit down, I feel like I'm doing something wrong if I'm playing a video game.
I don't feel bad about it because you know why? Because I was always that guy. I was always like, okay, keep moving.
Yeah.
And when it destroyed my life, I was like, okay, sometimes you just got to stay. And there was a woman who told me this. She was like, Psalm 48:10. She's like, it's the easiest one to remember. Just be still and know that I am God.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what does that mean?
You're like, yeah.
I'm like, that's a good.
Yeah, no.
Be still. No, but I think what you're saying is absolutely correct.
And with me, I think I do too much. I think I tend to jump into this thing and then this thing and this thing. And then now, instead of being a tree, I'm a bush. I get like, I'm spread out too far, too thin. And then I get bogged down and I'm like, I've. And
then you got berries instead of apples.
Yeah. So
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, but I get it. So it's just it's small fruit.
Small little tiny berries.
I ain't got no coconuts.
But I think our there's no coconut, no cocomelons.
Yeah.
Cocomelon, oh my goodness. So what I think is I think it starts with how you wake up. And So lately I've been reminding myself, like, okay, the first thing I need to do is thank God when I wake up. Like the first thing. Because what I got into the habit of doing is I wound up dreading getting out of bed. You know, I'm like turning my feet. I'm like, oh, I got some cracking going on. And I'm just like, ugh. You make those noises when you first get out of bed. You're like, ugh. And like, what am I grunting for?
Right.
I'm 48 years old, for crying out loud.
Yeah, well, it's also, I was thinking about this the other day. It's lack of, because I used to be,
I'm able to get out of bed. What am I complaining about?
I used to like work out and do all that, and I was a lot stronger than I used to be. Now I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, I can't even get myself off the toilet, like without like being like, oh, that's hard. It was difficult, and I'm like, man, I need to stop all that nonsense and work out. Yo, I need to get some of my strength back.
Why does my back hurt when I'm on the toilet for too long?
I don't know.
These are the things we talk to God about.
Yeah, and I'm like, listen, I gotta strengthen myself.
Yeah,
you know, I need to do the squats.
It's the toilet for me. Oh. So, in other news, whew,
Yeah,
we're gonna walk that one off for a minute. Yeah,
got me crying over here.
Oh, it's good stuff, man. Oh,
Yeah.
good stuff. So
Thank you. Thank you.
whew, so
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough.
that's things are getting good when Sean's wife comes downstairs. Like, you guys are
You
terrible.
guys are terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, so like when we're talking,
We're just being honest.
yeah, you got to respect
We're
it.
being real. You know
That's
what I
it.
mean?
Keep it real out of late there radio. Oh, so
Speaking the truth.
speaking the truth.
Yeah.
So when we look at vision and manifesting, like that's something that's gotten pretty popular right now. Like people are like you have to manifest it, you have to speak it into
Yeah.
existence.
Yeah.
Where did you get that from?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't know where that comes from. Like God tells you.
Well,
in a lot
I
of
mean,
ways
from the beginning, the word of God was spoken and it was created. The
Absolutely.
God said, "Let there be light." He said it, and people kind of take that account. God can do that. He's creator.
Mm-hmm.
We can also do that to the extent as long as it's within the will of God. That's why in what we do, it's prayer. So we pray to be more connected to what God's will is, and in those, then we see what. It's kind of like what I was talking to you before about. It's like when you're really interested in a car you want to buy. I really like this Chevy Chevette.
Wow.
Yeah. But then you start seeing them all over the place. You probably won't, but then you just start seeing
Not Chevettes anyway.
No, then you start seeing it everywhere. It's like Sean wanted a Supra, and he's like, that next car I want a Supra. I'm like thinking Supra, what?
Super.
But then I started seeing them like on TV. Like,
Oh, well, they came out with a new one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, and all of a sudden I started seeing it. It's just a matter of it's always been there. But when you put your mind to something, that's when you start seeing
noticing
it. You start noticing it. Yeah.
So what are you taking notice to in your life? If you aren't
Yeah.
noticing opportunities, you're not looking for them. You're not making yourself available for them. Like that's like one of the greatest things. Like on the road to Damascus, Paul gets blinded, right?
Yeah.
And then Ananias is at home just minding his own business, and God's like, Ananias, and he's
Yeah.
like, I'm here, Lord. Like, how many times do we say that?
Yeah.
Like God will put something on your heart and be like, hey, Sean, hey, see. And I was like, I'm here, I'm ready.
No, I'm
Usually
deaf. Wait,
it's like, hey,
did you hear
see.
something?
It's like, I'm on a business call. I'll
Yeah.
get you right back. Like that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
way we treat God
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. Like I'm learning more now to answer. Ananias' response was great. I'm here, Lord.
Yeah, but then he was like,
You can't.
that guy?
I can't heal that. You want me to heal that guy?
Yeah.
Like that? You know who he is, right? God's like,
Yeah, that's a question. Wait, do you know who he is?
and God's like, of course I know who he is, Ananias. Of course I do. But yeah, but so his response was, I'm here. So when we have opportunities that are put before us by God, and we ignore them because of our own definition of what our path looks like, we definitely push those things aside and we start living outside of purpose. And when we live outside of our purpose, that purposeless feeling is the worst feeling to have, because you're not pursuing anything. In order to pursue your purpose, you have to pursue God in order to know how he speaks. And I think
to understand him, it's kind of like learning a language. How do you understand that language if you don't take the time to study it and learn what the words actually mean?
Yeah, they didn't have to make a book called The 5 Love Languages of Jesus. It's called the Gospel.
Yeah. I don't even know if that book worked. The
5 love languages.
On the next show.
Yeah, my wife's favorite love language is sign language.
Yeah, that's all familiar.
She could only take so much.
Yeah, with a chancla coming flying at you.
Yeah, so now that whole manifestation thing got really, really big on like social media for a while. Like, you have to manifest what you want out of life.
That's also is big in Christian culture too. Is like even like the prosperity gospel and things like that. Is that if you manifest it, you'll get those blessings.
God is going to give it to you.
Yeah, you're going to get those blessings. Yeah,
and I think that's a very misread scripture when people say that, like, God will give you the desires of your heart. Yeah, well, there's more to it, kids.
Yeah,
it's a lot more.
Definitely.
To it. That means that God is going to change the desires of your heart first.
Definitely.
Because the desires of our heart are wicked and sinful, without God, straight up. Like, if we can be honest, like, think about the first thing that pops in your head when you think of desire.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you think about God will give you the desires of your heart, does he want to give you that desire? No. No, he doesn't. He wants you to desire the things of God. He wants you to desire the things that are going to give you long-term joy and happiness and structure in your life, that are going to make things great. Like, and this is the thing that a lot of people don't view about biblical literature that is exciting. It's like, well, it's not very exciting if you want me to lead a righteous life, but it is, because there's so much understanding that comes from it. There's so much revelation that happens when you decide to change those things in your life, and you decide to give the things that you used to desire over to God. We were just talking about that before too. I'm like, man, like, when I deal with this, like, my whole thing is like, all right, how do I give this to God? Which is a very troubling statement for people that aren't believers.
Yeah.
You ever tell them, like, well, how do you deal with it? Well, I just give it to God. They're like,
yeah.
What do you do? Do you zell it to him?
Well, it's interesting because, like, as soon as we talk about this, is talking about like God's will and things, is James 4:14, where he says, I started 13. It says, "Come now, you say today or tomorrow we will go to such and such city and spend a year there and engage in business and make a profit." What?
Read that. This is interesting.
Distractions.
No. Yo, your toilet game is weak.
Yo, it is. I'm telling you,
it
our
really
week
is
real weak.
Yo, that guy right there,
yeah,
Mr. Jason,
yeah,
he lost like 45 pounds and like.
That's what I need to, man. I got weak, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm out of shape. I'm out of shape. But let's get back to the Lord's will.
I'm sorry.
Let's get back to the Lord's will on another subject. That's another show. But
round is a shape.
But in James, he talks about, how are you going to say, I'm just going to paraphrase this, that we're going to go do business in this city and do business in that city, whatever. He goes, yet you do not know what your life will be like tomorrow. You are just as poor. Well, you are just a vapor that appears for a little while and then vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or do that.
Yes. Now, when do we start applying that to our lives?
Yeah.
Like, if the Lord will it.
It's kind of even like, you have a vision for what you expect. Even like when I had an idea of hopeful how this election would be, that's not what I didn't put it up to the will of God. I was more hopeful on that we can vote people in or do what we got to do.
I think, yeah.
Realize that this is the will of God. Like, not saying like things happen and then like, you know what, that can't be out of God's control. Realizing that anything that happens, even my weakness getting off the toilet, is the will of God.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you have to look at it that God's going to use it.
Use it, right?
I don't know how.
I don't know how that's going to work.
He will.
But he will.
But see, and that stems from us having commitment issues, because like if we want to commit to doing God's will, we have to stop committing to things that are not of God's will, and we have a bad habit of doing that. Yeah. So we were talking about getting busy with work before. Like some people will commit to work before they commit to God's will. Sometimes their work entails God's will.
Busy work.
Yeah, like busy work. Like and I think it's important to find rest in God in ways that we don't view rest, if that makes any sense. I think a lot of times what winds up happening is that we can have rest and peace, but that means committing to understanding the things that you may not understand and allow God to do what he's got to do by following what he says. And that's really difficult for like all of us. I don't think it's a unique problem. I think that's something that we all have. So what are we committing to?
Yeah, I think it goes back to that. It goes back to what we define struggle. What we define success as. Yes. You know, is success to you lots of money? You know, power, higher up in the, you know, are you getting thousands of likes? You're like, what is success to you?
Like, is your success your following? Is
following,
it your finances?
What does that mean to you?
Is it people's perception of how your life is?
Right.
You know, and for a long time, I always thought being successful meant like I was going to get there someday.
Right.
Instead of like, wow, look at the things I'm successful at right now. I'm successfully healthy.
Yeah. Maybe, I mean, somewhat.
There is a part of me that still feels like silly putty.
Yeah.
But in comparison to what a lot of other people are going through, I have an opportunity to get better where they have to struggle a lot harder. Yeah. So I should be very grateful and I should be very thankful. And every morning when I wake up and I'm thanking God and I'm saying my prayer, I'm sitting there in bed, I open my eyes and I'm just like, all right, I don't want this prayer to become repetitious, but I'm just trying to do this thoroughly every day now. When I put my feet down, thank you for allowing me to move my legs.
Yeah, I saw a story a couple days ago, and it was about a child that had this rare disease, and this family didn't realize it, and they brought him to the family doctor, and all of a sudden, you know, within a few they gave the baby maybe like 5 to 6 months to live. The baby was like a year old at that point. Mm-hmm. And for me, watching the story,
I fall apart.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, see, now they only had this certain amount of time with this child. It was a boy, and they did everything they could. They went to the best doctors and do everything that they could for him. But they realized they only had this little minute of time, so they took that time to still be with him as if he was a baby and you know, just doing things, you know. And it just hit me so hard, and I'm thinking to myself, here I am, you know, at a time where my kids are grown and things like that, and I worry about the silliest things and what I'm going to do in a vision and goals. When you get a story like that and see the short time that you have
versus what you've been
gifted with.
Yeah.
When you had all this time, even if the Lord took my life today, the time that I had and the opportunities that I had, I've been blessed with regardless. You know, when you see some of those stories, you know, like that, and seeing a child that only lived 3 years old, you know?
Yeah. I've seen worse cases like that. There's a weird disease that, you know, some newborns get where their heart isn't well equipped, and the doctor gives them 72 hours.
Right.
And this family documented on film the 72 hours they spent with their baby, and there were times where the baby would shudder with the breathing, and they're saying, "I think it's going to happen now."
Right.
And it didn't happen.
But you know what's interesting? And if you when I was watching the story and you saw the baby's face, and the baby went through some tough times. It was a young boy, and he went through some tough times, struggles. But those moments of him, like the dad running through the hospital room, like making jokes, and him cracking up as that 1-year-old, and just being happy and joyful, like
in that moment,
in those tough moments where that's the only important. Sometimes as we get older, we don't realize it's those little moments and those times that we need to treasure those things, you know?
Yeah, we get so concerned with what we expect out of other people that we forget the gifts that we have that just exist in us on a regular every day.
Yeah.
You know, and that's success. Like you're winning. You're totally winning. Like if you have a job and you don't make much money, you're winning.
Yeah, we're going to get into another show. And we're going to be talking about kingdom economy, kingdom economics, and where you place your treasure. But it's part of
we're calling it Kingdonomics.
Kingdonomics
101.
Yeah, and that's part of having a goal is knowing where you're putting your energies in as far as the kingdom living and giving God the glory and things like that.
Yeah. Like and that's an important thing that we have to get to too. I think focusing I don't think money is a bad thing, but I think what winds up happening, especially in the church right now, there's a lot of people that saying, well, there's nothing wrong with showing the world that how God has blessed you if you're wearing something expensive or if you're driving a really expensive car. Listen, there are purposes for everything, but God is not a God without purpose. Everything that he blesses someone with has a purpose.
Well, the Bible says that in everything that you do is to glorify God. So if you're not using the blessing that you're having to glorify God,
what are you doing? You're glorifying yourself.
Yeah.
Which in turn means you're glorifying someone else.
Yeah.
So like that pastor that got robbed, that's a shame. Listen, I don't wish anybody to get robbed. Listen, I don't know what his business is, income is, and maybe he earned that separately outside the church. I hope he didn't take it from the church, but I don't know that, so I'm not going to sit there and accuse someone of it. But when you portray certain images of success, like wearing large amounts of jewelry, you're going to attract a lot of negative attention. So when you get robbed Sunday morning in church, that's not good for anybody. I don't want anybody to think that at all. But what I'm saying is, what would make you think that that is a blessing to be shown off without purpose? Because the purpose wound up, the selfish purpose in those areas will wind up serving someone else entirely.
Yeah.
In the worst ways possible. So I'm not saying that you can't have nice things. I'm just saying that there's a time and place for them. I'm not going to.
You're going to get the new grill?
That's what I was about to say. I'm not going to grill my mouth out for $100,000 just because I have the money to do it. And listen, people do it. That's fine. Yeah. But I'm an ambassador of Christ, and I want people to understand the certain levels of humility that I've experienced.
Well, there's that, and there's also what in the what is it? I think it's Romans, where Paul talks about how making other people stumble. And I think that's also a way you could do that. Is if you're sitting there flaunting your grill and your chains
or your
and your
diamond-studded toilet,
and or ones that actually have arm bars to get you up off of.
That's not a bad thing. I'll take a rope or a chain from the ceiling.
So, but having those things and then you can actually pull people in the wrong direction to see where does the importance of the gospel lie? Is it in those things, or is it in your humility?
Well, it should be in your humility, I believe, because that kind of is what 99.9% of the Bible is trying to breed inside.
In that same book of James, in James 4:10, it says, and people take these things out of context, it says, humble yourselves before the Lord and he will exalt you. Mm-hmm. But a lot of things that could be well, if you humble yourself, he's going to give you a blessing.
Yeah.
This gold chain is a blessing.
No, I see. I don't think God gives pointless gifts. It just doesn't seem realistic to me.
Yeah.
If God says, okay, I'm going to bless you with a car, it's because you need one. I just think everything outside of that just might be us. Call me crazy.
Yeah, well, you can actually see that person's goals on them. So their goal was to get that chain and to have that watch and to have that car. You know, I'm not all against like having a functional vehicle to have.
No, listen.
And even a nice one if you could afford it, because, you know, or a better one, I should say.
Yeah, a better one.
A better one. Something you know, and I'm not against that. But at the same time, you could see where is your goals headed, where's your vision headed.
Yeah, I think that's where we blur the lines between enjoying the life God gave us and enjoying excess.
Yeah.
And taking time away from recognizing the things that God gave us. So if you say, I like to ride dirt bikes, get a dirt bike.
Yeah.
Go ride with your family, go ride with your friends. Do it.
If you can. If you're a good steward of your money and could afford something like that.
See, that's,
you know, so people tend to say, hey, you know what? I'm blessed with this, but are you been a good steward and been diligent in these other areas of your life, like paying your bills and having no debt and things like that? But are you going to put yourself in more debt by getting the bike?
You see,
so those are decisions you got to make.
And that's the whole thing. Like I made a lot of money and I was terrible with it.
Oh yeah.
But like, you know, and when my life fell apart, you know, I ran back to God. Oh, help me. And he did. And I didn't run back to him. I ran to him for the first time.
Yeah.
You know,
to get money from dad.
Yeah. Like, Dad, please. You know, but like, so when I actually gave my life over to God, I was like, I actually have a tremendous difference in income, but I still, it works out. Like when
you're provided for.
Yeah. Like he is the provider in ways that like I can't even fathom, because I shouldn't have I shouldn't be as good as I am right now. I did not earn it. I tell you that much. I earned it. I may be earning it now because of my lifestyle changes due to him.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything before that to deserve this. This is grace. This is mercy. And I think that's what we leave out of the equation when we start thinking about success.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly. Or our vision that we have of where we're going to be, because I think a lot of times we, just like success, we take our vision and goals and say, and we leave out, like we were talking about before, I think that's where this country is too, is we leave out the part where those goals have to be a part of my walk in faith in God. And as I go there, those are the times that I glorify him in making those steps.
I think that's what people who don't believe have a problem with. Like, oh, like everything you got to do, you got to glorify God. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's not, you know, it seems like you're taking away from someone else when they people will look at it like, oh, like everything that we do, like our life is a living sacrifice.
Well, what does it mean to glorify God? I mean, one of the main things where you're glorifying God is realizing that I wouldn't have made that to the next step without his help.
In that humility that's found in that. That's like what
we're talking and going, hey, you know what? Like you said, I wake up in the morning and just thank God, because that's giving him glory that I woke up this morning.
Yeah, and listen, sometimes your prayers get repetitive, and the Bible actually speaks against that.
Yeah.
Don't give repetitive prayers, like find a new way to say thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean, when Jesus said, pray like this, you know, our Father who art in heaven, he didn't say pray this every time. He said, this is kind of like
this is the model.
Yeah, how you should do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and you find a new way. And one of the best things someone ever told me that changed my perception, because I had just started praying. I was like, oh, my prayer game is weak, you know, like, which is a stupid thing to say because there's no weak prayers.
No, but you got some people that can pray, man.
Yeah, man.
You do got some
it's
people.
It's like you said in Romans 13, chapter 4, verse. You know,
and then it's like, okay, you pray, and I'm like,
and it's like,
thank you.
You're a good guy. You know, like
day after day,
day by day by day. You know, 3 things. All right, but you know, you know, like you get into these things, like wow, like and he said to me, he said, you don't have to know how to pray. He's like, you just talk to him like you're talking to your best friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Because I was like troubled. I was like, God, I come to you as your humble servant. Oh, no, I'm not humble. Oh, no. Wait a minute. I'm pretty awful. I don't even deserve to talk to you. This is over.
Yeah.
Like, like
Right.
that was like
Yeah.
the first.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you just talk to him. Like you give him your best.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, so what is my best? Be as raw, be as honest.
Being honest. Yeah.
And listen, you got to be honest with God first before you can be honest to anybody else, including yourself.
Yeah. And I think as a Christian perspective, the only real true way to have your visions and goals in line is to know the will of God. And in doing that is to have a healthy prayer life,
Well, yeah, I think people think praying, and this is the thing that bugs people out. Like, I think when people say like, oh, I prayed for you. Thinking about someone is not praying for them. So why is it important that we actually you can pray in quiet. I'm not telling anybody how to do their prayer life, but I'm saying like you can pray out loud. Like we make it a point to pray out loud. I know you do, because you're not afraid to say, this is what I believe. This is what matters to me. This is from the bottom of my heart. I want to say this out loud. Because what you're doing is you're saying, like, that's like saying like, if you come over to your wife, all right, and you're out in public and you're like, oh, honey, I love you when you're home. And then you go out in your public and she says, I love you. And you're like, you too. Like you're not, what are you ashamed to say it in public?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what you're saying is that in particular, but even there's a time to be praying and quiet. There's a time, because I felt a lot of times I'd say too much, and I'd always try to be finding things to say in my prayer, when at the same time God's telling me just to shut up and listen to me, and then let the words come out. But
I get that a lot.
Yeah, and then let the words come out. Don't just pray haphazardly.
God's like, listen, while you're on the toilet and you're not saying nothing, just listen to what I'm saying.
Right.
It's funny. It's like I think sense of humors are really important, right? And I always like to incorporate something funny in it.
You?
And, I try. Me?
For real? You try to be funny?
Really?
Yeah.
And I think that I think we take the element of humor away from our relationships with God. We take the element of moving forward and growing as an individual in every way, not just spiritually, but growing in like for example, like having your own property is a biblical construct. Like being a steward of the land is that's important. So like there were wealthy men in the Bible, and a lot of these wealthy men God loved. They loved God right back. And so I'm not saying that you can't be successful and be and be humble, because it's not true. I mean, like, you could be not humble and still love God. You know what I mean? Like, it's just everybody's got their own walk. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I forgot.
You forgot. Yeah.
Forgot where I was going.
That's all right. But in that vision, I think what we get lost in is, and part of what we were talking about is manifesting your procrastination. That's when that comes out, because procrastination.
Yo, procrastination
is basically
kills.
the willfully doing not doing something.
I know I gotta do this, but
willfully,
Yeah.
And I think as Christians we do that a lot.
But that's what I'm saying. We start in the morning.
Like
we procrastinate getting out of bed because we're like, it feels so good to be in bed. And
yeah,
you get up
and you
like,
dread because it's Monday and then it's Wednesday. It's like,
and then you get your coffee and you're like, I'm not gonna move right now. I'm just gonna drink this coffee because it's so good.
Yeah, and I think we become late. We see our goals, we see our visions, and we try to do that, but we become.
I have time.
Yeah, we become like we have time. We were just talking about that. Like sometimes we don't realize the short amount of time that we are here and that we do have, and we'll talk about this more when we talk about kingdom economics. But it's like, what are we saving here? What is our level of success that we're taking for that vision and goals. And then I think a lot of that procrastination happens because we see it, but then we're like, I'd rather just chill for a minute.
I mean, and that's a part of the human condition. I don't think there's a person in history who hasn't wrestled with that at some time. But
I do all the time.
Oh yeah, it also becomes a matter of habit, And then in your pursuit of better habit, you also have to be careful of making your habits a priority over everything else as well. So your productive habits, you wind up wrestling your productive habits with your resting habits, and you do have to have a balance of both. And that's something that we wrestle with constantly.
Well, I mean, that's why there's sleep. I mean, you have sleep because.
But some people only sleep when their body collapses.
Yeah. I used to be that way.
Now, no. Now I could just do it anywhere.
So, but I've realized the importance of it.
Yeah.
So
if I could sleep while I drove and live, I would do it.
But I think the other thing is it's better for you also to get up early. I like to get up early. If I sleep too late, I feel like I feel guilty. I feel like I've wasted the day.
Yeah. I think I let my autoimmune drag me down too, because it's no joke, man. My wife's had an autoimmune forever, and I just right after COVID.
You caught it from her?
I probably caught an autoimmune from my wife. Thanks, babe. But you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, this is just something I got to take medicine. I'm fine. Listen, medicine does not do it all. There are serious lifestyle changes I have to make because it beats you up so bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, 1 minute I feel fine, and then once my body kind of settles down, I turn into like Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, I feel like
I don't have legs.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just like eating frogs and just sitting there ruling. It's terrible.
Yeah. And I think what happens is we rather just sit there. Like for some reason, like this whole thing I was talking about before, like I feel weak and I want to work out. And every day I come home with that idea of like, hey, let me hit the gym. Let me do this. And then I'm like,
tacos.
Oh, I'm tired.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
Yeah. So, you know, it's funny. It's because so that's, and it's crazy because God speaks against it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't get complacent.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it? Sloth? Like, what is?
Oh, yeah. Little folding of the hands. It's Proverbs, Yeah. Yeah. Sluggard. You sluggard.
You dirty sluggard.
You sluggard. Little rest. Little folding of the hands. And what does it say? That you'll be, wind up, the poor will capture you. You'll be destitute.
And that's how you know God means it. If the writers of those areas of Proverbs, they add an ARD at the end of it. You got to be don't be a drunkard or a sluggard or something with an ARD at the end of it. A sluggard or a drunkard or a.
It's Proverbs. What is it? I'm trying to pull it up.
Or a
Proverbs 24:33 through
a joker
34. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty will come upon you like a thief, and a scarcity like an armed man.
Mm-hmm. It's like, come on, help me do the harvest. You're like, I'll get to it tomorrow. So listen, do something that shocks you every day.
Yeah,
even if it's small.
Yeah.
And poverty will come upon you like a robber. Yeah, 24:33.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. And and that's like 2 Thessalonians 3:10. It's like, if you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. And I think a lot of what's happening in the world today is, America is so good of a place that you could actually be entitled.
Yeah, you could take it even deeper. And when Jesus said, when they were like, teacher, aren't you hungry? He said, I got my food. Like, I'm good, because he's out there doing the Father's will. Yeah. So he was like, he was being fed by the Holy Spirit on the work that he was doing for God the Father. Man.
Yeah, and that's enough. And now, so I think that's a good place to end off. What is enough for you?
What is enough? It's never enough.
I think the one thing that we have to really pay attention to is God's promise. And one of his most favorite promises, and I think that everybody should take notice to, is that he's never going to give you up. He's never going to let you down.
Never gonna give you up.
No, he's not. He's never gonna.
You just came into that like,
He'll
bam,
never do that.
man.
Never gonna make you cry.
You gotta get me prepared for that, man. You were just like,
Bam.
what's he gonna do? So,
I could just. Yeah, you know it's funny. So I used to make fun of that song like so much, but it's actually a really good song. And I want a trench coat now. I want to dance in the
something
rain.
wrong with you. God is never gonna give you up.
No, he's never gonna
Let you down. That's good, actually. I like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a parody of that.
Yeah, it's on now.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah,
one.
so I just Rick rolled our entire audience. God help.
Yeah, I know. You just blew the speakers off.
I just blew my eardrums out.
Yeah,
when I did that.
You
But
didn't
it's-
even like say, "Hey, you know, I saw you coming to it. I went to go lower the volume, and you're
and
like,
it's like bam,
bam. We're never gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah, come in hard, man. Don't
that's it.
come
you know?
hard or don't come at
You
all.
see, so now what we're doing is we're making you uncomfortable by rickrolling you volume 15 unexpected.
Yeah, yeah. So we got some other good topics that we're.
and we're working on a lot of projects right now, which is really good. We got a lot of
Yeah.
music coming out. So
Yeah. That and also some things we're going to talk about. We talked about kingdom economics. We're going to have another show about, we're going to talk about marriage. We don't have really much experience in that, but we're going to talk about it.
the nonprofits are coming your way too. So get ready.
Prophets. Yeah, that's dope. That's going to be dope.
Yeah.
No, the Gospel Gangsters. Is
Gospel Gangsters. The Gospel Gangster album is coming your way too.
Yo.
On 2 CDs and cassette.
Yeah, you're going to have fun with that. That's going to be fun. I like that.
I wonder if you could actually sell CDs now.
No, yeah. What,
don't think it's gonna
you said cassette.
Yeah, cassette.
My son's like, what is that?
8-track.
What is that?
Yeah.
8-track. What is that?
Oh my goodness! Can you imagine?
Yeah, we were talking
Wow.
we were giving them certain questions of like stuff back in the 70s, and they had no idea what this
Clueless.
stuff was. Yeah, it
Yep.
was so funny. Yep.
Yeah. Well, ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth?
But on that note,
On
y'all
that
know what
note-
time it
You know
is.
what time it is.
So tune in next week where we're going to be talking about Kingdonomics 101.
Either that or
Or-
I thought we were talking about music.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
I
I
can't
think
wait.
that just jumped in our heads before. We were like,
Yeah,
you know, what?
we're changing it up. That's
we
right,
got.
yes.
We're going to talk about it, and you're going to have to face the music.
You are going to have to face the music, and some of it is going to be awful. Get ready.
Yeah.
Some of it's going to be really good too.
Yeah.
So tune in next week. Same time, same place. Your boys at Aletheia Radio on Off the Books are looking forward for you to see our shining ugly mugs. Till next week.
Next week. Later.
Later.